Hello everybody, Lucha for Life here, bringing us a brand new video, and today I'm going to talk about manga. So I love manga. I practically grew up on manga ever since I first discovered it back in middle school, or at least for me, and I grew up on it. I love this stuff so much, but however, partly due to my own family circumstances and everything, I didn't have a lot of ways to read it legally as a child, growing up through middle school, high school, and everything, because I just didn't have money. My family didn't have money, so the only manga I was able to read legally was the 3 volumes of Soul Eater that my parents bought me for my birthday one day, and also the manga that was available at my school's library. So, whenever it came to reading manga, my main way of reading it up until really I became an adult and actually had spendable money of my own was Scanlations. And to this day, I still even do read some Scanlations, not as often as I used to. But however, I feel the need to come out and defend Scanlations because I've seen a few arguments coming out and poking why we should really start trying to fight against Scanlations, and I totally get it. Okay, let me just say this. Yes, at the end of the day, Scanlation is piracy. Okay, people don't like to face that truth, but it is. And if you are charging for Scanlations, that is morally, ethically, and legally wrong. Scanlations as a whole, though, are in a morally gray area. Because if it wasn't for Scanlations, we probably wouldn't have the manga and also anime in regards to fan subs industry that we have today. Because people, grew up reading these and they want to get them, and that creates the industry, that creates the drive of people wanting to get them in legally, okay? Personally speaking, if my 3 favorite manga, well, one's a manhwa, that are currently not available in English and probably never will be released in English, were ever released in English, you can bet your sweet bippy I would be buying them without even hesitating, okay? So, what caused me to come out and talk about this today? Well, about a month ago now, on March 4th, a manga author, Hatoko Machiya, who is a manga creator in the BL and boys love genre, not my personal cup of tea. She did an interview where she was talking about how the Scanlation piracy problem is causing her to have issues with getting her stuff legally licensed over here, because distributors are like, hey, there's no interest, and the people who do have interest are reading it online for free, and that's causing her not to be able to get her stuff printed over here. Couple that with that she's in a very niche genre and she's a small and upcoming writer, she's running into those issues getting her stuff printed over here legally. And I totally get that. I understand and empathize where she's coming with that, but I do have to also state that at the end of the day, Scanlations as a whole are relatively good for this industry. There are issues, obviously, why people don't want to support Scanlations, but however, I do have to say there are reasons for why it's good. So, first and foremost, let's talk about the main issues with Scanlations and the harm that they can do with the industry and everything. Obviously, as Machiko is having the issue with, Matoko getting her first and last name, Hatoko getting her first and last name mixed up, as she is having the issue with, that it can cause the issue of certain distributors not wanting to bring the stuff, their manga over here. And that is a horrible issue. I really wish that they would realize that, hey, if people are willing to go out of their way to actively translate and put it up for others to read, that people are also willing to come out and buy it, okay? On that note, though, there are people who will not go and support the creators, okay? That is the worst aspect of this, and unfortunately, those people have no interest in supporting it and will never support it, okay? Most people pirate out of a necessity, whether it be they don't have the actual money for it or they are unable to get it legally over here. Me, personally, that's the main thing. Okay, the only manga that I read scanlations of nowadays are manga that are not available over here in English. And that really, really drives me nuts, okay? There's two manga in particular that if they were ever printed in English, I would buy them in a heartbeat without even thinking. The first being Boku Girl, and then the other being Kanojo ni Naruhi. They're two of my most favorite manga in the gender bender genre kind of thing, and they are totally wild different interpretations of that concept. Then there's also the manhwa Half Prince, which, oh my god, if Half Prince ever got an official English release, I'd be out there day one buying it or pre-ordering it on Amazon, but it just doesn't seem to be happening. So that is the main reason for why I go out and get it, you know, because these series, they just don't get printed in English for whatever reason. Boku Girl ran from like 2011 to 2017, if my memory is correct, and it got no anime, no official English release, and had one figure. So that's what, next to no merchandise, next to no any kind of notoriety or publicity over here in the West. Kanojo ni Naruhi had it even worse, where the chapters were released super sporadically over the course of several years, and just nobody paid attention to it. It didn't do anything. And for some reason, Boku Girl is not popping up on Wikipedia anymore. It used to have a Wikipedia entry, but oh well. So these two series, they just they didn't get any love, they didn't get any attention. They did, at least I know that Boku Girl did relatively well over in Japan, but it didn't do well enough to gain Western attention, especially since it was still kind of like really at the beginning of when the manga industry was really starting to take off over here. And that is a shame. Okay, I mean, heck, to this day, there are still plenty of manga that don't have English releases or are just now getting them. You know, I'm going to use Kanojo ni Naruhi. That one, I believe, has a German translation, if I remember reading right, and so does Boku Girl. Yet they don't have English releases. Now, granted, I've heard that the German manga industry is huge compared to the West, like by the rest of the West, like America and everything. Like, heck, Elfen Lied, one of the most notorious and, like, a cult classic manga series, did not have an official English release until last year. And heck, I think most of it didn't even officially release until this year too. Like, I think like the first omnibus was released last year, and then the other one was released over here. Meanwhile, Germany and Japan have had their official releases for God knows how long. And at the end of the day, that is the big thing. Scanlations are a way for people to enjoy this medium who are unable to attain it in a legally way. Now, if I had the time and the money and everything, would I learn Japanese and go and buy the official Japanese ones and get them over here? Yeah, honestly, because I would love to. And heck, hey, learning Japanese would be cool, but I don't have the time. I really just don't, okay? And I know, I'm only bringing it up because I know people are going to make that argument, and it's a silly argument. You can't expect people to be able to dedicate God knows how many hours to be able to fluently read a manga in Japanese to go and buy it and get it imported over here. Then you also got giant import taxes, and it just gets ridiculous with the pricing. There's also how Scanlations can form a really strong community with the manga series in particular. Made in Abyss's community has really thrived thanks to Scanlations. The Scanlations, every time that the official chapter release comes out, the like 2 we get a year if we're lucky, people are like, oh my god, and it's like a Christmas day. And on top of that, I mean, heck, for just to kind of take into consideration how big the Scanlation community is with Made in Abyss, there's one of the Scanlation teams, I believe they're Narahade Scans, they they have a penchant for making funny sound effect sounds, like lolly squishing noises, or God, I can't even mention the others without like probably getting like kicked off of YouTube. But one of the biggest known ones is the rumbling of scientific triumph, and that one turned into a big meme in the Made in Abyss community, and now the the songwriter Kevin Penkin for the movies and the TV and like the anime and everything, he directly references that meme with one of the songs. Bon Jovi's theme song in the upcoming movie is literally titled "The Rumble of Scientific Triumph." Okay, the community is so big and so like crazy with Made in Abyss that a meme from a Scanlation got put into official canon with the song, which is just awesome. And it really goes to show just how much these Scanlations can help thrive a community when we don't get official releases over here. And of course, now that we do, we still do the Scanlations for the chapters, because good lord, it's going to be like 2 years before we get those chapters. But the people still support these series and everything. And at the end of the day, that is the big thing, is that most people who read Scanlations only do it out of necessity. And I would love to be able to go out and purchase those manga and all the other manga that I have ever read on a Scanlation and actually go and, you know, support it. But they just don't, for one reason or another, don't get released over here. And that's sad. And I totally get why Hotoko, I believe was her name, is upset over not being able to bring her stuff over, because the distribution companies are just super weird about that. And, you know, the only thing I can say is that I hope her community keeps growing, and I'm sure they will with Scanlations. And guys, if you do read Scanlations, if there is any merchandise of the series that you love, try and support them that way. I mean, heck, my big thing is figure collecting, so that's one way that I try to support the series that I love. So hopefully you take that in consideration. I know that this is a really touchy subject for a lot of people, and I don't know how to properly end this video, so if you like Scanlations, you know, go ahead and keep reading them, but try and keep in mind too, if you are able to support the series whenever you get a chance, you know, whether that being buying the manga, buying the anime, you know, tweeting at the author saying, hey, I love your stuff, you're so awesome, you know, whatever it happens to be. But if it's a series that is legally available in your area, try and support it if you can. Okay, that's all I can really say. Scanlations are important for this community though, for manga and everything, because if without it we wouldn't have manga over here, more than likely. Because I mean, heck, for the longest time companies thought that people did not have any interest in Japanese stuff. You know, I mean, heck, there are people who are much better than me at making videos who have explained how fan subs helped give rise to the anime industry as it is today over here. You know, I mean, heck, companies like Crunchyroll, Faku, Manga Rock, and so many others started off as piracy sites and then transitioned into being legal, you know, translation teams and everything who have gotten the purchases and everything. So, you know, it's just, I would hope that people are civil about this and don't tear me up too much in the comments. But I digress. What's your thoughts on Scanlations? Do you think that they are morally right? Personally, I think they're a very morally gray thing. Do you think that they should be legal? Do you think that they shouldn't be? Do you think that it's like just this abhorrent kind of thing that people shouldn't support or whatever? I want to hear your guys' comments down below. Well, read them. Can't hear them, but you know what I mean. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day. It's your birthday, happy birthday, and see y'all later. Peace out. Rate, comment, subscribe.